Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. I am in the process of putting on a few entrance reducers and topping up the feeders on my hives. And while I had it here, I thought I'd just show you something. I had this feeder on, the feeder is empty, and the bees have propolized or waxed over the screen. So a good way of getting rid of that is right now, sugar syrup would not go through it because it's been blocked up with wax and that sort of thing. But if I just blow smoke or really hot smoke on it until the smoke starts coming through, basically I'm blowing very hot air over it. And look, now I've melted the wax off it, and the feeder's going to work fine now. Quite useful is to blow the stuff off, check it in the sun, but the hotter you have your smoker, the better this works. So I've melted that stuff off. Probably works better going this way, blowing it off, but now that's nice and clear. So about a third of that is clear, which is going to be adequate, but get a bit more. I don't have to do this with too many of them. You see the wax melted down here a little, bit. Now it's ready to go. This hive is pretty full, but I'm going to go around and get a little more feed in each hive if I can. Not putting a gallon in, but putting the best part of a gallon in. Basically, here in Maine, it's a good idea to have pretty much finished your feeding by now. And I have pretty much finished, but I do want to make sure that I can just top up any hives that might be a little underweight, because basically the last syrup in is the first syrup they're going to eat for the winter. So I'm okay if each of these hives goes into the winter with a gallon of uncured syrup, because it's going to be the stuff that they eat in the first month anyway, and not much of that is going to give me problems in fermentation or give them gut problems, so they're going to be able to fly quite a lot right now anyhow. So this will just be sure that they've got plenty and they're not using those valuable honey stores for later in the winter when they're really going to need it, and I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. Let's move on. We had quite the storm this week. Lots of wind, lots of rain. We had about 3 inches of rain. Checking the weights. Weights of the hives are pretty good. Still got a bit of sugar syrup in there. It's about half full. I'm going to leave it. Hives, good. This one's pretty much empty. I'll give them some more. If they've managed to drink it, I'll give them more. Most of them still have a good half gallon or more. Now, not all of these hives are full of honey. These were the nukes I made quite late on, but I'd say most of them have about 7 frames of honey in there. And 7 frames of honey is better than if they were in a 5 frame nuke. This is empty. Let's get some more. Some of you ask why I don't just take the filter out there, well, the sieve out there, but these are types where it's welded into the plastic, so I actually can't take them out. They're not like the ones you'd see on Ian Stepler's videos where you can just pop the feeder out. So I'm afraid I've got to keep on going through and opening up the lid, which, yeah, might wear out the O-ring, but so far not a big issue for me. The bigger issue is it's a pain in the neck. I'm taking all these lids off. It's a lot slower than it would be if I was just taking that little hole out. Oh, that's heavy. Bit of feed left in there. We're just going to leave it. That's good. Good and heavy. Plenty of syrup in there. Now this one has feeders in it. Yep, 3 feeders. And here, how are they doing? First of all, what's the weight like? Good and heavy. Plenty of syrup still. I don't need to redo these. The problem with this is that they tend to build the wax right up into those, pulling the feeders, but let's see what this one's like. That one's about half full as well. This is the downside of having them directly on the frames, is that they are really stuck down, and we agitate the bees somewhat. But I'd say I've still got 1.5 gallons in here still. Hive is reasonably heavy. Don't need to top them up, I don't think. What's this doing? Do with a bit. Yeah, this could do with topping up. Let's have a look inside this one. Well, the bees are working their way up here. Okay, that's empty. What we could do is filling these up some more. It's about half a gallon in here. So good, fill that up. Maybe a quarter gallon here. These feeders could do with being topped up. So let's do that. Some empty out faster because they were directly over space where there was room, I suppose. This feeding with multiple buckets is good for a variety of reasons. One, it's great because there's no robbing this way. But number two is you can get it in, a lot more food in, a lot faster. And I found it very successful. Hives I've had between 2 and 4 feeders in there. The syrup is being taken down very nicely. These buckets are still fairly warm, and the bees have been taking it down very nicely. I've been very pleased with it. In fact, I'm going to leave this one. This one feels about half full. So I'll just fill 2 of them up. And I'm going to put them in opposite corners to what they were. Feed. I'll make sure they've got another 2.5 gallons in there, and I know that by the time they take these buckets down, they will have loads of food. And just to show you what I'm doing, whereas the buckets were here, here, and here before, now I'm going to put them here, here, and there. Let's get that one filled up. It is a beautiful day here today. It's high 60s, which would be round about 20 centigrade. And these bees are very happy, considering that there's no honey flow, that sort of thing. They're not being aggressive in any way. They're just loving the day today. And it's a pleasure being out in the bee yard today. I say we've had some pretty darn awful weather recently. Oh, let's see how this hive is looking. Got multiple feeders in the top. Not such a huge population that they're running up the sides. Some of the hives have bees just filling up this space. This is good. Just feel what the weight's like. Very nice. Could do with a bit more feed in here. So let's see what the buckets feel like. I'll refill. This one's half full. That one's about half full. That one's pretty empty. So I'm going to keep the buckets where they are and just fill up this empty one. The full one going in there. And we'll close it up. Woohoo! Just mentioned about some of the hives are pretty full of bees. That's what I meant by they're pretty full. In fact, they're so full they're starting to build new comb because of all this sugar flow going in here. So I've got to watch out I don't fill this space up with comb prior to the winter, but that's a sure sign that I'm giving them plenty and they're running out of room to put it, which is exactly what I'd like to see. But let's have a look. First of all, feel what the weight's like. Oh, that's good. I had an entrance feeder on here as well. It was pretty light 2 weeks ago. Now it's good and heavy. But let's feel what it's like. That's empty. That's pretty full. That's about half full. So I'm going to put a little bit more food in here, in this empty one, and the entrance feeder. Hives coming along very nicely. Actually, I probably don't even need to put any in, but I'm just going to give them a bit more. I'd rather have wasted some sugar syrup and given them more than they need to give them too little. I don't need to fill it up. Look at all the wax they're building as a result of all the food coming in. That's good. That's a good sign. And all those bees, be a nice sized cluster for the winter time. Feed the entrance feeder as well. Move along. Now also, some of the bucket feeders do result in this robbing at the edge of the feeder, which is a pity. But the thing I'm going to try to make sure I avoid next year is this having too many of these foam covers for the feeder. I'm going to be using inner covers. The foam, or at least use a foil cover underneath it just to make sure I don't have alternative exits here. I found that one or two of my hives were getting robbed, and so I don't want that to happen. still more than a gallon of sugar syrup in here. So we're going to leave it there. See how this one's doing. More to go. Plenty of food there. That's empty. Some more. Bit blocked up. Oh, for sure. And the last couple. Nice break. Oh, I've done this already. I've done this one. Did I do this one? Heavy. Heavy, but the bucket's empty. Put a bit more in the bucket. Sure to drop that. Okay. So these hives are all filled nicely, and the hives are already heavy, but I could get a bit more in, and I'll take advantage of it. We've got a week of weather where we're gonna have a few days in the high 50s, but four to 5, 6 days in the 60s over the next 10 days or so. So I'm going to take advantage of that. As you're feeding in the fall, you feed according to the circumstances, and it's going to be warm enough for them to take feed, so I'll give them feed while they can still take it. There's no hard and fast rules on this. You just have to use judgment. So I'm going to give them a bit more feed while I can. I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. See you next time.